I drive my car up to the lake as if there's someone to awake. I haven't been to bed for days, I live in a twilight haze. And I set my heart to the setting sun, and I hope that no one else has done it. And the drinks are never far, open up the bar. I miss you every single day, I wait until I start your way. I hate the way I'm straying into these perfect days. I love the
Let's just start with a basic introduction and go from there. And so, Rick, tell us about your burger shop. Oh, I haven't made it yet. So, yeah, just tell people who haven't been there what to expect when you walk in the door, and tell us how amazing your burgers are.
So when I first opened the shop, it was just, I'd been working, do you know where Rustley Golf Club is?
Yep.
Yeah, so I was the executive chef there for 10 years.
Okay.
And then just randomly one day, my manager handed me a letter just saying that they couldn't afford to have me there anymore. And I was just like, what the fuck?
Man.
Yeah, so so I never worked another day from that point. They pretty much paid me out a month's salary, and I was just kind of like, now what, you know? And I was determined not to work with for another company or anything like that. I just didn't want to dedicate my time to someone else's future, you know what I mean? So
Totally.
I found this little spot in Phillipstown. It was almost like turnkey because they had like I said before, the walk-in chiller and just everything I needed to to start basically. So just got in there, set myself up, and it was really basic in the beginning. I didn't have any written signs or anything like that. They're all just handmade, handwritten. Yeah, it was pretty basic. And then I've always been a sort of, what's the best way to put this? I've always been an advocate for cannabis. So all I've ever wanted to see is that it be normalized. So when I had a chance to bring that into my food business, it started by calling a burger a 420, and then next minute we had a
few smiles, a few smirks,
and then a whole wall dedicated to different strains and things like pictures and stuff like that, you know. But basically going into a stoner's bedroom and being like, whoa, that's kind of what it's like when you walk into the shop, you know. So there's a lot of information about cannabis, and I guess that just ties in with the epic munchies that we make, you know.
Yeah. Oh, fascinating. Yeah, I wouldn't describe myself as an advocate of cannabis. I'd probably describe myself as maybe the other end of the spectrum. Although, Rick, I smoked weed for a couple of years as a youngster. Yeah. And I was well and truly into it.
Yeah. That's probably the worst.
But I kind of
but that's all right.
I sort of moved out of it and stuff. But the nice thing about this is you sit down, you talk with someone, and you may not share your views 100%, but you can sit down and have a conversation and stuff like that. No, that's cool. I still really dig the fact that you're obviously doing really well, and you've got this great point of difference and stuff. Mm-hmm. So your burgers, you've got your regular burger, which has quite a bit of meat in there, and then you've got vegetarian options and, vegan. Yeah.
So when I first started, we did have a couple of vegetarian options, but I mean, because I am a meat eater, I was probably a little bit selfish with the menu, because that wasn't really something that I'd ever spent a lot of time doing, vegetarian food. Back in the day, I did do some work experience for the Ducks Deluxe when it used to be in town, and that taught me a lot. But at the same time, I still hadn't actively experimented with vegetarian or vegan options.
Yeah.
But
man, well, you've built up that range pretty quick.
Yeah.
And locked in heaps of kind of classics and stuff.
Yeah, I just met a guy that he actually runs a burger / nightclub restaurant in Wellington.
Yeah.
And they were saying to me that they do meat options, but as far as it goes with vegan, like every week they'd do a vegan burger of the week, and they'd have like a lineup, man. And I was just like, there's actually like an untapped sort of market where people aren't actually. I mean, when I think of vegan, I just think salad, you know, like what I used to, you know.
Yeah.
But once we started experimenting and realizing that you could pretty much, you know, match a meat burger with a vegan burger and make it just as cool just probably even healthier. You know? It was cool.
So you've still got quite a creative kind of streak in you. Do you find that having those, because you kind of feel like you're being restricted a little bit, but then you've got to find different ways of producing something amazing.
Yeah. I think it's just for me personally, it's whenever I start something new, I'm always thinking of the risk factor, you know, because
I see.
I'm just I don't have any like investors or anything like that. So if I introduce a new product, and you know, like that means a whole another series of ingredients that I have to list to my, you know, my daily ordering or whatever, then I'm thinking like, what if we don't use this stuff?
So
like,
it's pretty experimental. It's kind of like putting something out there, seeing how well it goes, and running with it if it works well, or just
pretty much. Or I guess in that regard, I've been lucky that I haven't really had a burger that has flopped. I mean, there's always been you know, the majority of people always go for it, but definitely once I started doing the vegan options, that brought a whole new element to the business because, I mean, most of the time you're either meat or you're vegan, you know? Like, there's no in-between, you know? So being able to keep everybody happy is a bit of a...
Yeah, and the vegan people are cool with coming to a place that serves meat as well?
Yeah, I think... I haven't ever had anyone, like, vocalize that, saying that they wish we didn't or we did or whatever, but... they seem to be fine with that. I think it's good when you get a group of people that, you know, out of a group of 10, maybe 2 or 3 of them are vegan, but they usually couldn't participate like they could.
That's right. So it's about that inclusivity and stuff.
And you know, they can join in just as much with that food experience as somebody who enjoys meat, you know. So
totally.
And it's good to see everybody be able to be happy with their food options.
Yeah, it's hard to know. Like, it is kind of scary. With the Sammy Bags, the business I was telling you about before, it's a you know, it has been described as a vegan leather, and I didn't really want to jump on that bandwagon because I didn't want to seem like I was kind of greenwashing the business and pushing this whole vegan thing. When I don't particularly follow any of those things myself. And then we got an email the other day from a charity organisation that's vegan, and you know, when I got the email, I was eating a bacon sandwich. So I was like, I had to, you know, be honest with the guy, and I was like, well, you know, I don't really follow any of those things, but look, there's no animal products in this product. Is it going to bother you? And he was like, no, that's cool. So they're kind of getting on board and going to sort of share it amongst all of their community and things, which I think is really good. I think it is a part of that whole thing where people are able to have conversations that are different and not be cancelled. Like, you're able to have a business that's obviously openly advocating marijuana and cannabis and stuff, but not sort of have a fear around it. Yeah. Because people just have to kind of deal with it, right?
Wow.
Put on their big boy pants.
To be honest, man, and I've never had any pushback. Like, nobody has ever confronted me or openly said to me, hey, we have a problem with what you're doing here, or like, I'm sure there are, but they've never vocalized that, you know. But majority of people, I mean, and it's just like you said before, you delving into something like the vegan bags, and you don't actually know a lot about like veganism or something like that, or and you don't want to seem like you want to be a part of something that you don't know a lot about, you know. But that's what it's like when it comes to cannabis. Like, you know, like a lot of older people, they've been told to never touch that kind of stuff. Like it's like shooting up heroin, you know. Like it's considered the same thing. So when I guess when people come into my business, they either notice it or they don't, you know. Like, I mean, I've probably still got a lot of, you know, 50 plus guys, ladies that'll roll in for their Friday dinner, but they don't look at that stuff. Like, they just come in, order, walk back out, probably have a chuckle at some weird shit we've got around the place. But like,
they might just think you're like a hard out gardener.
Like, exactly, because that's pretty much, as I see it, is just a flower, you know, like, and it grows in the ground. So it's. So
what happened? Tell me. I'm assuming you probably will know, but what happened with this last referendum and stuff like that?
Mate, there was like, I mean, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was like a 48.1% yes versus a no, you know? So it was really close, you know? I don't think the government would even want to see cannabis legalized because they wouldn't be able to control it, you know? Yeah. But they're not controlling it now. So, I mean, The problem, I think the biggest problem with cannabis is that as far as the legalities go around it, like, I mean, right now, if I was caught with cannabis, there's probably be a good chance that they'd just take it off me, tell me that they're going to give me a warning or something, and then I walk away, jump in my car, drive away, you know? But if I was, you know, a dude that had face tattoos, or maybe my skin color was a different color, you know, they could instantly lock me up for that, give me 6 months jail, you know, like, and that the cops are a little bit like, I mean, I think they're told to take like a community approach. So if it's not a threat to the community, then it's not a big deal. And I mean, to be honest, I don't think cannabis is a threat to anyone, you know, so that's the whole thing that I don't like about it, is just that the stigma
attached with it, possibly.
I mean, there's a massive stigma attached to it. I mean, I think some people probably look at me like, oh man, he's just a fucking stoner, you know, like rah. And definitely as being an employer as well, when I've had new staff come in, they just think, oh, these guys are chill as, like they're all just going to be doing, like, you know, just having a good time and stuff. But once you actually step into the kitchen, it's like a fast-paced, busy environment, and by no means do we fall under that stoner sort of category. Like, I think that you can be an active cannabis user and still be successful, you know. But we're taught that you won't be.
I think it's an easy what would you say, or it's a lazy way to think, for people to think. You know, it's just you know, a cliche, an assumption. What can I, you know, we're just looking for something to connect the dots, and you know, we refer back in our mind to some past memory of some article we read in the, you know, 90s or something.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Or because, and that's the thing, I'm definitely an advocate for like having some kind of restriction in place for like cannabis and stuff, because at the moment it's just all over the show, you know, like you said before. I mean, I'm just going to go out on a whim here, but I'm going to say that you probably tried cannabis when you were younger. It probably brought out some kind of like mental health issue that you like that wasn't a good thing for you. But you know, like, but now, and then you would have stopped, and it would have got better, and now you're just like, I've done that. I don't like that. Like, I don't know. Is that right?
Yeah, probably. Along those lines, probably not so much mental health, more of a spiritual thing for me. I know what you mean, because look, there's alcohol running alongside this kind of whatever you call it. But I mean, that's there as well, and that's being, you know, that's the legal drug which everyone can use and is causing untold harm in the community. Which is, I don't know, it still seems so easy for a lot of people to not really look at and acknowledge, perhaps.
I think that is because, you know, obviously alcohol is taxed. Like, you know, there's a lot of, like, organisms that come with alcohol. Like, I mean, like from the manufacturer to the sales to the people. Like, I mean, even the police are policing alcohol. Like, I mean,
right.
I mean, you're a little bit further away from the city, but I'm imagining on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, closer to the city is just nothing but alcohol consumption and
carnage.
Pretty much. But I don't, and that's perfectly acceptable, and that's kind of what irritates me, because
so it's the hypocrisy.
Well, just like recently when I was meant to be on a feature for like 7 Sharp, right,
and that's exactly how I discovered you. You've got a video on Facebook which has how many views?
It's
insane.
It's probably like 60, 70,000, something like that. I don't even know. Well, it's kind of it's just as of late in the last week, I was actually I've lost all my admin rights to my Facebook page, man. So I've been building it for like 6 years. Just randomly went to go and check my messages and just gone. Like, I can only view the page as a customer now.
And why is that?
I have no idea. Like, it just, I thought it was a glitch at first, and then it just hasn't come back. And now the page is just sitting there. My Instagram is still linked to it, so I can post from Instagram, and so whatever I post there will go to Facebook, but I actually have no access to the Facebook page. So that's another whole situation that I don't know if you've ever tried to get a hold of Facebook, but they don't just have an 0800 number that you can ring,
You probably haven't seen our previous podcast with Cyan, but interestingly enough, she was sending messages. She was going through a slightly kind of, what do you call it, dissociative kind of stage, like she has bipolar, and she was sending messages to the Facebook help desk just repeatedly, like leaving this bread trail of crumbs, which I thought was quite creative, but of course she never receives an answer back. So I can't imagine you will either.
So I'm just hoping that whatever was going on, that one day I'm just going to go back and it'll all be back there.
But potentially it could be because you've got a video and it's about cannabis and it's quite popular.
Wow, I mean,
maybe not.
That could be an option. Like there's a lot of stuff. I mean, even saying that we wouldn't discriminate at our business.
Right.
I mean, it could be anything. It could be just that Facebook's just shit. And I don't know, man. And to be honest, when that first happened, I was like real deflated, like, oh my God, my Facebook. Like that was sort of like a massive link to my customers and like a way that we connect. And then sort of like over a 24-hour period, I was just like, why am I stressing about Facebook? Like, like it's Facebook. But that is the kind of, I mean, that's just the society that we live in, man. Like without my Facebook active, I mean, I get, multiple messages daily, just people needing more information about what we do or opening hours, things like that. So that's all sort of gone at the moment. But
man, it's a roller coaster. As a business owner, it can be quite a roller coaster of ups and downs. And just a tiny thing like that can really upset the apple cart. Hey, and you mentioned community before. Like, what's your community like? When I watched that video, you mentioned it as well. So you do you sponsor a few different things around town, and were you involved?
As far as sponsoring, like, I mean, to be honest, I never really, at the beginning of opening, I mean, I'm sure you've been approached about sponsoring different sports teams or just different events and stuff.
We don't do anything. I have offered a few people to just train them up and show them how to make coffee. Because that's a skill we have here, and it's something that we can easily do, and we know stuff about, rather than just kind of giving people cash. I've had people and just show them the ropes, I suppose, because those are skills, which they, I don't know whether they have to pay for them otherwise or something like that, but it gives them a little edge up.
And I mean, that's cool. I would love. I've never really I've never really thought about doing that myself, you know, like just you could be like, oh, win a day's coffee training or something like that, you know, or spend a day in the kitchen with me. Yeah. To be honest, I'd probably avoid that because I just...
Well, you've got such a, like you say, fast-paced, high-pressure environment. It's stressful.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But that's why... with the whole sponsorship thing, it sort of started because I have like a lot of nieces and nephews, you know, and they always wanted to have like, you know, Uncle Rick's Slick brand on their stuff, and but to be honest, it wasn't really something that I could even afford to do. And then it all I think it might have been early on, like in 2016 when I first opened, I did a little bit of Facebook advertising, you know, like boosting posts and stuff like that, and then I was just like, why am I doing this? Like, I should just be giving my product away and then, you know, hopefully that'll people get excited, and so that has always been a lot more successful to me, to actually go, hey, like, this is a new burger we're doing, we're going to give away a bunch of them, like. And that is probably one of the biggest downfalls about losing my Facebook, is just we were so interactive on there. That was a major way that we would connect, especially through a lot of giveaways, you know. So like as soon as I started doing giveaways, I was thinking like, well, this is a lot more beneficial because I'm actually repping my own product and I'm not paying someone else to do it for me, you know. And then I think it might have been there's a local radio station as well, Pulsar FM, which they really got on board with me back in 2017, and they did a lot of sponsored shows for me and just repping us. Like, I think a lot of the DJs and that liked our cannabis theme, so they were just like, it was something that they could actually get behind and support. And then probably in 2018 I started probably getting a little bit more financial stability, so we ended up, I sponsored, it was a skating event that used to happen in Cathedral Square. Oh yeah. And I think I might have donated maybe $500 or $600, but even that was like a stretch, man, you know, like I was just sort of like, this money like really needs to be in my business, you know, and so we also gave a bunch of the skaters like free food and just really put it on for these guys, because I felt like I had to. Well, I just felt like I had to, you know, like, because my logo was on the posters and stuff, and I mean, it was an successful event for them, and it definitely was an eye opener for me to be like, well, how can I do this a little bit better, because I want to support things that are happening in the community and stuff. So I think once I did that, I was a little bit more open to suggestion, but we've always done a lot of like stickers and stuff like that, and just with the logo, and like, I mean, you can see I'm wearing one now, like they're pretty in your face, you know, so and people want to rep the brand, so I would just give away like thousands of stickers, man, like, you know, like, I mean, they were at a cost, but it was like, I mean, it's not unusual to be driving around town and see a slick sticker on the back of a car. And it's like, it's cool, man, because it's kind of become like a cult following, you know, like you either know about it or you don't.
Well, I tell you, the other sticker I see alongside Slick is Peer Side. I often see the peer people. Yeah,
peer people,
I don't even know, is that, what is that a skateboarding thing? Or
no, it's just like New Brighton locals, man. But I don't really know a lot about it. I mean, I see them a lot, and I can only presume that they're people that live close to the pier. But I'm not sure. I mean, as far as I know, it's just a New Brighton sort of, if you live there, or
hey, Milton, you live in New Brighton. Have you got a Peer People sticker?
Yeah, man. I live in North Beach. So, no, I don't think I'm close enough. I mean, I can see it if I go down there. I can see the Peer People.
Oh, right.
But I'm not one of them, man.
Are there a bunch of people that like live under the pier? Or?
It's got that sort of feel about it, right?
That's awesome.
Hey, well, you must be loving the autonomy and the, like, you can turn up to work and, to a certain degree, you know, just come up with a new burger and do things, like you're in control of, you know. Do you enjoy that, having that freedom, or do you sometimes, because with it comes the responsibility, like you said before, and putting something out there and not knowing what the heck's going to happen.
I mean, definitely in the early days of opening Slick was like, it was like a magic factory, you know, like for me, because it was just like, I didn't have, I mean, even in my previous roles, I've always had like that creative sort of control, but it's a little bit different when you're doing it for yourself and you don't have someone saying, oh, hey man, I don't know about that, like, you know, or just having a little, getting feedback on what you're doing, you know, like I can only base it off sales. And early on, I mean, we just came out of nowhere. It wasn't like I'd had this successful business that I'd already knew was going to survive. It was just like, take a punt and like have a go, you know. But I also, I never really thought about what I was getting myself into at the same time, you know. Like it's a little bit different when you work for someone else. You have set hours. You get like time off, like holiday pay, just all that stuff, all the things I took for granted. Just, you know, just having that sort of, I mean, I've always worked hospital, so it definitely wasn't 9 to 5, but just that there's a bit of more structure when you work for someone else.
Because you're at the opposite end of the day to us. We're like predominantly a morning thing. People drink coffee in the morning, and you know they need everything prepared. Whereas you, what time do you start work?
Well, I mean, I've definitely had a lot of switching around with hours and things like that, but we open at 12 and close around 9, 10 p.m, you know, so it's definitely late nights, you know, I mean, just in that first initial period of opening, I never really thought like, oh yeah, I'm going to be working 100 hours a week, like, you know, it was just the excitement of doing it was just like, yeah, sweet, like, I remember in that first sort of 2 or 3 months, my partner and myself, I mean, she was on board with me as well. She, like, I mean, once I'd set it all up, she's like, right, I'm here to help, you know. So it was, it was all really exciting, you know. And I mean, there was days where I was getting up to try and be open at 7 a.m, you know, like, because we do coffee and stuff as well. But
do you?
Yeah, and I just didn't. I didn't really know what part of the market I was even tapping into. It was just like, I should just be open, trying everything. But I mean, it was hard, man. Like, 7 a.m, 10 p.m. finishes. Like, it was just it was chaos, you know. So, you know, that 7 turned into 10 a.m. and then 11 a.m. And then in the end, I was just like, how can we actually make this so that I can survive, like mentally and physically, and still be able to do this every day, you know? So, there's been a lot of like ups and downs, man. It's,
but on the whole, looking back over it, like, because there's personal growth, like you've got the business growth, and then you've got your own personal development, and you're constantly learning things, and it requires you to be open and sort of aware and stuff like that. It's it is a tough journey, isn't it?
Oh, definitely, man. Yeah, like, I mean, my partner and I worked together for probably the first year and a half, and like, I don't know if you've ever worked closely with a spouse, but you know, like it's try. I mean, like, you know, you're up first thing in the morning, you're going to work together, you work all day, all night, then you go home together, and like, it definitely was a hard time for both of us. I mean, I was under a lot of pressure, man, like sort of literally started this business with no money in the bank, like no financial support, like, so I think roughly off the top of my head, I might have, when I first took on the lease of the shop, I probably had about 30k, man, like, and you know, 10 of that was to pay for the shop up front, and then I literally had that money to try and make that work. And pretty much if we didn't get customers, then I wouldn't have survived, you know. So I was definitely under a lot of pressure in that beginning, and my partner actually handled it real well. I mean, considering I probably would have been like, fuck this, you know, like, because it was definitely intense, and just stress, man, you know, like, I know. I'm sure you could relate to that, like, and but I think that was a massive driving force to what got me up every day, you know, like, I mean, I've got a couple of children now, so cool. Once my partner was pregnant, she sort of like exited from the business, and I was kind of on my own, you know, and it was just like, that was probably pretty early on, like the beginning of 2018. So it was just like, there's that self-motivation at times can be hard, you know, but like having that creative responsibility as well also drives me to be like, you know, I've got these customers now that I can't let down. You know, I've got a small crew of staff. You know, there's only probably 3 or 4 of us that, which is, you know, like a couple of more permanent staff, and then casual staff, which has been multiple in the last 5 years. You know, people come and go, and that's cool. Like, but I think I do rely on feedback from customers and things like that. Staff, I definitely take on board everybody's comments and sort of try and filter things out to what I think will be the best, you know, like you can only try, you know. There's definitely been times where we've done burgers that just people just don't take notice of, and I feel like at the time that we're doing that as well is probably when I'm at my most stressed, or you know, just it's hard, man, to just keep doing that same thing every day, you know. So that's why I try and add more things to keep me passionate about it, you know, like we were talking about before, like vegan options, you know. That was one thing I was nervous about, because it was like, I don't actually know a lot about this. I mean, I think veganism is a culture, man, you know. So like getting a part of that is sort of like, do I fit in here, you know, like what, am I actually doing what people want? And so you can only do your best, man. Hope that people are going to let you know along the way what they think about it. And that's probably one thing that I've always been like stoked, is my customers don't really have a problem telling me like what they think, or that's what Facebook's good for, man, because they, you know, people can message you whatever they want, and if it's something that they can't say to your face, then they'll say it to you on Facebook. And constructive criticism is good, man. I've always taken it on board. I guess that's probably what has helped me to be open for 5+ years now, you know. So no, it is real about growth and being open to things, and having that ability to be able to listen and things like that. I mean, so often in society these days, we like with culture war and stuff, or the culture wars, what they kind of talk about with cancel culture and stuff. Is this this idea where it's sort of, you know, we're right, you're wrong, and you know, and there's no room for conversation, which is such a shame. But I think because it does produce better stuff, it produces like better relationships with your staff, better relationships with your customers, all sorts of things. And I sort of it can be hard. How have you found? Like I know. Like Google reviews. We've got a few doozies on Google. Oh, have you? Yeah, I didn't actually look at your reviews. They cut deep. Yeah. Oh, definitely, man. It hurts when you are just, you know, like you know, like you guys have got good products. I've tried it. Like the coffee's good, food's amazing, you know. So it's like, it is hard when your baby is punished, you know. Like, I mean, that's the thing. I guess I've been pretty outspoken when it comes to stuff like that as well. Like, if I truly feel like someone's been over the top, then I don't mind telling them, you know. And you know, I've definitely had some experiences like that along the way. Like, just being a little bit insensitive as well. Like, it's quite easy to do. We had a burger that, you know, was not meant to be racist or insensitive in any way, but it was called the Lady Boy. And and I mean, I might be a bit naive or whatever, but I just never, you know, I never thought that when I created that burger that it would cause any issues for me or anything like that. It was just a funny name. And when we were just coming out of our first lockdown, which must have been like 2019. 2020. Oh man, I don't even know. But so when we were coming out of that, I was approached by a friend that had just finished through broadcasting school, who was now a journalist for Channel 1, and they were doing a piece on the return after lockdown and how Uber Eats take a massive fee and that they weren't willing to lower their fees to help people out when they first opened, blah, 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 blah. And so after that week's segment, I think a lot of people started checking us out. And, you know, I mean, there's always a handful of people that reach out in situations like that where they know you're not having a good time, and if they have the ability, you know, they'll offer their services and stuff like that. So I think, you know, my website traffic went from about 500 a day to 20,000, you know, like instantly. And so there was obviously a lot of people checking us out, which we obviously reached out to or branched out to a new set of customers who ultimately had a problem with that burger name. So in the beginning, it was I was sort of like contacted on Facebook. People were like, you know, a couple of people like to me, oh, you know, you should change that burger name. It's like pretty insensitive, and like I was just like, yeah. Never really thought about it. And then a couple of days later, I started getting these reviews, like people saying that there was like cockroaches in my food and like just like way over the top shit, man. And I was just like, what is this connected to? Like, I just couldn't work it out. And it was purely because people had contacted me about that burger name. I didn't do anything about it, and so they took it upon themselves to 100%
mete out justice.
And so it was really disheartening for me, because it was like, you know, these guys are attacking my business. They don't even know me. Like blah blah blah, and like, you know, I was sort of being labelled as like homophobic and transphobic, and I mean, so what I did is, instead of getting all upset about it, I just did my homework, man, and I just realised that what I was doing was just being like, it was a little bit homophobic, transphobic. I mean, I just didn't know a lot about that culture, so like it was quite easy for me to just oversee it. So I was sort of like in two frames of mind. Like I was like, okay, sweet guys, I'll change this burger name, but it just kept going, and I was like,
how do you stop it? How do you appease it?
So in the end, I'd openly admitted that I'd made a mistake and that I was happy to change it, and I was sort of taking feedback from these guys that had approached me, just being like, do you have any suggestions of what we rename this burger? But the hate was still there, and I was just thinking, look, I spent the time to try and, you know, get myself to where, in a spot where you guys were, that I could understand what you're saying, and it just still wasn't working. So in the end, I just called the burger the Karen, you know, because like I just felt like these guys, like I was trying to help, you know, to fix the mistakes of whatever had upset everyone. And, you know, I mean, we all know sort of what a Karen is, just like you know, like a moaning sort of not in the moment type. So it was just like, once I did that, it was almost like a bit of like, we just started playing with each other. And then once it was like once it had all settled, I think that a lot of people involved with that were they just sort of they saw it as funny, and they were stoked that I'd changed the name, and like,
cool.
But I mean, just a little thing like that blew me away, man, because I was like, well, see, there I am again saying that it's a little thing, because for some people that isn't a little thing, you know, like,
no, that's right.
And it's so easy when your personal things start, you know, or however you feel about something starts impacting your business, you know, like, it's just like, you got to stay pretty neutral, man, you know.
And I don't feel like it would be a great world if we were all too afraid just to say stuff, and to sort of, if we were constantly sort of suppressing things and things like that. I don't think that's 100% healthy. So I mean, life is messy, and no one's kind of perfect, and we're just all kind of going along, and we're making changes and hopefully getting better and things like that. So
it was definitely a big eye opener for me, man. Like I was just like, stop being such a insensitive prick, basically, you know, and just think of thinking of others, man. Like and you either take an experience like that and it makes you better, or it makes you worse, exactly. You know. And I feel like everything like that, always I try to see the better mint out of it, you know. But
So will you ever introduce? Can you introduce hemp in your burgers in any way, or do you?
So like I pretty much garnish all my food with hemp seeds, man. Like,
oh yeah.
So hemp was only. It's definitely only been in the last sort of 2 to 3 years that hemp was actually even able to be purchased or consumed by humans, you know. But like up until a couple of years ago, it was illegal, man, you know.
Really?
So,
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so like hemp seed, any hemp product basically was banned. But what they did is the laws were changed a couple of years prior to that as well to say that it was acceptable for hemp to be consumed by animals. So there was companies out there that were selling like hemp protein powders, hemp foods, different hemp products, but they were, you know, they were all like dog related products or cat food, you know. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure humans were, you know, like everybody knew what the deal was. So I mean, if you were game enough, you would buy that product, consume it, and it's actually really beneficial, you know. I
think there's like hemp oil, the coffee people pop in there. I think maybe is it the keto? The keto people might be into hemp oil, putting it with the coffee and having it with cream. Maybe I've had it once, and yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, we weren't able to experiment with a lot of hemp products because of the legalities against it. But now, I mean, as soon as it became illegal, as soon as it became legal, I mean, you can go down to Countdown now and buy packets of hemp seed, hemp protein powders. I'm not sure if they sell hemp oil there, but. Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of health benefits to hemp as well. I mean, you know, like, when it comes to hemp seed, like, an equivalent of, say, a 200-gram steak, if you were to consume 200 grams of hemp seed would be equal amounts of protein and stuff like that, which people just don't know about, you know? Yeah. So when we... I literally, you know, I mean, we're at the moment we're doing a lot, just mainly takeaway food, but prior to that, when we were plating up and stuff, all my food was garnished with hemp seed. I mean, we're still garnishing now with the hemp seed, but you know, it's not, you can't really tell as much. It just looks like sesame seeds with little green flakes, you know. But that's definitely something that I like to, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, what is this, man? I'm like, oh, it's cannabis seed. And it's like, what? Like, you know, it's definitely a conversation starter, you know. And there's, I mean,
that's not correct, is it? Cannabis seed.
Yeah, it is cannabis seed.
Can call it cannabis.
Well, I mean, hemp is cannabis. So it's just a male version of the same thing, you know. So like, essentially. That's what it is.
Oh, right.
Yeah. But, I mean, I don't think any brands at Countdown are going to be calling it cannabis seed, you know? I mean, it's hulled from hemp, but, hemp is cannabis, so...
Okay, Yeah. Oh, that's good.
So, like, when you tell someone that their food is doused with cannabis seed, they're just like, oh, whoa.
Well, if you think about poppy seeds, I mean, you know, I've known plenty of people to buy... you know, a kg of poppy seeds and boil it up and make some kind of poppy seed drink and get pretty chopped.
Is that a thing?
Yeah. It's a pretty.
I don't know a lot about it.
You're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel there.
Yeah.
I feel like having to buy huge amounts of poppy seed, but that's a thing. So I mean, I think, and it certainly turns up in. Possibly drug tests as well. It can, like, if someone, they had a poppy seed bagel and then they had a drug test, it will show up.
Oh, crazy.
So, I mean, you know, and that would have more effect than hemp seeds. Yeah. Like, there would be no effect from hemp seeds.
So, I mean, like, hemp should only contain between 0.3 to 0.5 milligrams of THC type thing, you know, which is not enough to be affected by it or come up in drug tests or anything like that.
Yeah.
Certainly not going to get high from that, unfortunately.
No.
But it's more of a superfood, you know. Like
exactly.
It's just like how we harvest wheat to make bread, flour, stuff like that. Hemp has that same property, but because it's been so suppressed, you know, like we just. I mean, there's building elements that are created from hemp. I just saw on Facebook the other day that in Canada they've created a jet entirely made from hemp, and it's run on hemp oil, like a refined hemp fuel. Sorry, but it's like it's a multifaceted plant, you know, but it's still, you know, I mean, people still look at hemp and think, oh my god, like, you know, there's probably a lot of hemp farmers. I know there's a lot of hemp farmers in rural Canterbury and stuff like that. I mean, I couldn't imagine what their neighbours think, you know.
I'd really like to think people are a little bit more switched on these days. Like, I mean, you know, in our baking we put alcohol in it sometimes, like rum or different things, and I mean, no difference. Cool. That's interesting. Really interesting talking to you, Rick. I love hearing about your journey and that. I mean, I was going to say how stressful it was for you, but it's nice to know someone else has been not necessarily having a hard time, but I mean that growth can be a double-edged kind of sword. And
you seem like really good at navigating a landscape, dropping into a new landscape and working out the details. Just my take on you.
Oh, really? Yeah.
But you know, dealing with the ladyboy stuff and like, man, that would drag a lot of people down. But you navigated it. I mean, it definitely does. You know, like it's really deflating, man. Like just when you are just trying to like get along on an even keel, you know, like
that's right.
Keep the majority of people happy. It's pretty easy to start sinking when like negative things are happening, but
because we have our own internal struggles where we're questioning ourselves anyway, and then to be confronted with some, you know, customers and stuff like that confronting us on products as well, it's kind of like then you go back to that internal voice and say, well, you know, maybe that's how I feel about it as well. Is it true? And back and forth. But it's great having staff members or a real, you know, a partner that you're able to kind of bounce feedback off of and kind of have a, kind of put it out there and sort of somehow try and assess it because it can be tough. I
find that having that smaller crew, like, I mean, before I opened Slick, you know, like I had this massive friend group, you know, like just I was definitely a lot more active, a lot more social, things like that. But I've found that as a business owner, I think your circle gets smaller and you definitely rely on positive people in your life, you know, like because it's so easy, you know, when there's a lot of... You can't really be around negativity, man. Like, it's real hard to get up every day, you know.
It's fascinating, isn't it? And I find, we have our own negativity to battle in our lives, but I think when you're, I don't know whether I should say this or not, but when you're employed...
Just think, mate.
No, I was just going to say, when you're employed, potentially, I'm not, you know, maybe it's a little bit easier to be negative because... you know, you can perhaps criticise things a little bit easily. I don't know, but then, maybe I should. Maybe that's not.
No,
true.
I know what you mean, man. Like, you know,
because you're not having to worry about you know, your holiday pay and all those different things that suddenly come into it. Like you're just, you know, but it's easy to sort of complain about your boss and things.
I mean, it's. From when you're that person who has your role and you have an hourly wage and you know what is expected of you, I definitely took that for granted, man. You know, like, I mean, I was always... I still worked 70, 80 hours at my previous job, but I still didn't feel that responsibility at the end of the day. Like, you know, when I was putting forward my monthly expenditure or, you know, profit and loss statements and things like that, I was happy to type it up and put it all together, but I never, I had a passion for my business, so I wanted to exceed budgets and stuff like that. But if we didn't, it wasn't.
It didn't emotionally.
Like I could still sleep at night.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but I mean, it definitely empowered me to do different things, like moving forward. But that financial aspect is huge. Like when you're the person who's responsible for, making sure all them bills are paid, and I mean, them bills need to be paid regardless of what sales you've had.
Totally.
So
that's right.
That has always made me nervous, man. And I've always been nervous about my staff. Even though I've been in business for 5 years now, I still worry.
Seems like a short time.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it feels like yesterday. Sitting here, even thinking about when I was saying to you before, 2016, I'm like, fuck. That's just happened so fast.
Go?
Yeah, man. And it just flies by. And,
sometimes I think the more we pack into our lives, I don't know, the quicker it almost goes. Yeah.
I've had to cut back on a lot of things that I was. As when I first opened Slick, I was also the South Island rep for a local pub poker syndicate, So there's multiple venues that host poker on different nights of the week and stuff, but this particular group, as soon as I got involved with it, I was just like, I'm quite passionate. I like poker and stuff like that. I like the whole I like everything about it. But I just wanted to get amongst it, I felt like I had the personality to be more of a managerial role. So I started playing, and within 6 weeks I was working for these guys, and then within 6 months I was running it, So, and I carried that through with me even in the first 2 years of owning Slick. But yeah, man, I just had to let things like that go, because it was just all this responsibility, and it's you can't have too many avenues of responsibility, man. Something has to give, or you can never really truly give it 100%, especially when you've got your own thing going on, but you're still involved with other people's things. It's as much as what I didn't want to let the things go like that. Ultimately it's going to happen if you are taking what you do seriously, you can always introduce new things along the way, but it's there's a lot of resilience when it comes to doing this shit, man.
Yeah.
But that's
so you're finding positive people out there. Do you do any collaborations with other
I've done so even when we're talking before about the sponsorship thing, I've never really been in a financial position to offload sums of money to different groups and stuff like that, but I'm happy to rep them on Facebook or give them a shout out and try and get my followers to take notice of them and things like that. But I usually just try and offer food, whether it's a player of the day, we'll hook them up, or whenever them teams come in, we always look after them, and or I'll just give out a lot of vouchers and stuff like that. At the end of the day,
no, that's cool. That's nice.
People want that. Even at the price point that we are, I try and keep things as cheap as I can, but food prices are going up every 3 months,
That's
so
right.
It's pretty hard, man. I definitely know there's an element of our customers that we probably have lost due to price increases, or just it's crazy times at the moment. A lot of people losing their jobs, they're just money's a hard thing to come by, man. So I definitely like to be able to give back in that regard, that hopefully it's going to people that will truly appreciate it, and I think anybody appreciates free food, but it's I try and work with more organizations or groups like that, where it's actually giving back to the community. I've done a lot of collaborations with different local businesses like bakers, and a lot of local sort of music events and stuff like that. A lot of different sports teams, music events. and what I tend to do is like, whatever them, especially when I'm working alongside another business, like I can't think of the name right now, but a local baker that I was working with, she gave me a cheesecake, and then we just ended up giving that away on our Facebook page, but it actually went to like a woman who fosters like 7 or 8 kids like on a rotation, and she just like must be run off her feet, and a local organization approached me, and then they ended up getting it, and like so now if we're in a position like that, I would rather give to them kind of like charities and stuff like that are actually giving it to families of need. So I mean, and that's easy to do, you know, like so there's been I'm always keen to work with other people. We do a lot of like, most of the time, the way that I would collab with someone is give them the ability to give me a burger idea, man, you know, and then maybe with a few little tweaks from me, we can go from there, you know. Just recently we got some rep from Patrick Gower, who back when he did his doco on cannabis.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, have you not?
Was it? How did you feel about it? Was it good, or was it sort of pretty safe? Or
I felt like he was definitely pro-cannabis, so it was.
But he didn't explicitly.
Like he consumes on camera some form of cannabis. I think he might vape something like that, or I think what it was insightful because he showed what's happening overseas where it has been, like, you know, where it's decriminalized now or whatever the laws are surrounding it, and these guys and nothing, and not a lot has changed. It's probably increased users, but they're more informed about what they are taking now, you know, and that is the difference. Like there's no regulation in New Zealand, so we rely on the people that supply to give us some kind of accurate
quality product.
We don't know what it's going to be, you know. So like, it's a bit of a gamble when you know, purchase cannabis of somebody. We don't know how strong it is, how weak it is, how it was growing, you know, is it being tested, lab tested? There's no regulation at all. So seeing that overseas model with regulation, I feel is a lot more beneficial because, could be more beneficial because I'd like to know what I was consuming.
Exactly.
You know?
I mean, the parallels with the alcohol industry is just so obvious. I mean, imagine if you had to buy alcohol off the street and you didn't know the percentage of alcohol that it had or something like that. I mean,
that sounds bizarre, you know.
That's right. You frame it that way, and you kind of think, gee.
And I don't think people would be keen for that. You know? Like, well, I know I wouldn't be, but and that's the model that I felt like he was showing, was that it can be quite a successful industry that could still be viable and taxable and all that sort of stuff, you know, because right now it's unregulated, it's untaxed, there's no information about it, like,
and the whole medical thing, is that just totally unrelated, and it's just there's no real crossover, or has it been beneficial for you know, the cannabis, I don't know, community?
I mean, especially if you don't know a lot about cannabis or whatever like that, and you know, you live by the book, then you know, so and you want
it's an educational thing, kind of.
Exactly, and I mean, there is different cannabis products out there available medically to buy or consume or whatever, but trying to find doctors that would get on board with that, and then because it's not funded, then you're paying like astronomical prices for these products, and they aren't affordable, you know. Like, there's the element of that black market just is still so, like, I mean, people are heavily reliant on that. I mean, if for some reason, you know, all these green fairies or people that were helping people out just completely got cut short and they only had options through the government, like, there'd be a lot of sick people out there, you know, like, and which would, I mean, in my opinion, would lead to alcohol abuse and things like that because they just can't get them products, you know?
Hey Rick, do you want breakfast?
What have you got going, man?
Here we are, mate.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember watching that Duncan Gower doco. It was really informative. It's a good doco.
Oh, cool.
I thought it was a little bit pro-cannabis as well. It's just the edge leading that way. He's trying to be neutral, but he definitely seemed a little bit pro to me.
Yeah, and it was good to see, just how advanced that cannabis culture overseas is compared to us, you know? I think back to when I was younger and how the means we would have to get cannabis, and it wasn't a good experience, you know what I mean? And I don't want to throw anyone under the bus or, groups or anything like that, but it's definitely a black market industry.
That's right. And that attracts a certain thing.
And it's scary, man, you know? I feel sorry for people that don't have the connection or the people that they need to have in their life that are just good, wholesome people that help people out, you know? It must be scary out there, man. And that's why, knowing that there are, just like I said before, you can be pro-cannabis and be successful, you know? Just like all the successful alcoholics out there, you know what I mean?
Well, I think when I said I'm not an advocate, I think I'm probably an advocate for what you're talking about as the regulation and the control and the safety features that you could bring in that would just be so beneficial, you know. Yeah,
well, there's different,
and then your individual is then left with the decision. Well, what am I going to do? Which is just a part of life anyway. Yeah, people have to decide what they're going to do with anything.
Well, that's the thing. There's strains.
Coffee is a drug, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't choose not to drink coffee, that's totally fine. But to say that no one can drink coffee,
that'd be scary, right? But coffee's just been normalized, man. You know,
that's right.
And that's the thing. It's become a normal part of society. I mean, I live on coffee, man. If I didn't have that coffee, I'd be buying it illegally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a powerful stimulant.
And that's the thing. When you shut something down, there is always going to be a way of getting that product. Yeah. But it's what are we creating?
The history of coffee is kind of interesting. There's in the UK, in actual fact, we think of them as tea drinkers, but I don't know, it could have been the 1700s. They were into coffee, and in London there was something like 2,000 coffee houses, and they had their trade with Africa and the places where the coffee was grown, and then for political reasons it all switched, and they rebranded coffee as the devil's cup and an evil kind of thing, and they for whatever reason the empire was sort of expanding towards the east more, and they switched from being a nation that drank coffee to a nation that drank tea. And it's
just from scaremongering?
Totally. Yep.
I wonder what the motivation for that was.
Just political and trade and politics and trade, money and trade. It's that sort of thing.
That's all it usually is, right?
That's right. Yeah, and from what I understand of marijuana and stuff, the whole that's been done time and time again.
Power, politics.
Yeah,
money.
I was just going to say that Pilgrim's wee butty looks...
Cool, mate.
You don't find that name too offensive?
Somebody will, man.
I never thought about that until now. It's pretty saucy.
Yeah, my wife was going to say Milton's wee buddy, but
I don't find that offensive.
No.
If someone finds that one offensive, we'll change it to Milton's wee buddy.
But even in regards to offending people, man, at the end of the day, I just think that you've just got to be yourself, man, and roll with the punches. Not everybody's going to be keen for what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's, I was going to touch on this before because I said to you before I'd never had any pushback or anything like that, but I definitely know that there are people that do look down on what we are, what I'm about or what I push, on my front street sign, up until recently, we're just in the process of changing it, but I had a massive cannabis leaf with a face mask over his face, you know?
Oh,
and some other friends who have just recently opened up a cafe in Opawa. It's called Waharoa, and they sort of focus on a lot of like Māori food and stuff like that, and just she's real community focused as well, and helps out heaps of people, Jimmy. And she, in one of her Facebook posts, she was at the shop and had taken a photo while in there eating her burger, and people were commenting on it being like, oh, you know, we would love to support you, but, you know, you're affiliated with that 420 burger shop on Ferry Road and stuff like that, and some of the New Brighton locals and I are concerned and all this sort of stuff. And when I was reading it, I was just like, whoa. Like,
so there was guilt by association.
Yeah. But that's the first time I'd ever come across it, and it's probably it's probably happening a lot more than what I actually know about, you know. But
who knows?
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, I don't really care.
I wonder, is it kind of fair? I mean, you know, I'm so happy to have you here and stuff. I mean, it's an awesome thing.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
but it's kind of like
it depends, man.
Random
like,
thing. It must be fair. I think.
I think it's just it's fair against the norm. You know, like, I mean, most people would say it's not normal to be a cannabis consumer, but yet they probably consume alcohol every day. You know, like, and I'm not saying that like. I've never been like an advocate for someone, you know, where, oh yeah, man, smoke weed every day, like, you know, like, no. It's not like that. Like, everything in proportion, you know. Like,
moderation.
I mean, moderation. I mean, I don't actually consume cannabis every day, like, but when I do, I have my own personal reasons for why I do that. Like, I think for me is a lot of a wind down thing, you know, like a relaxing thing, but. You know, having the ability to also be a bit more educated about cannabis. I mean, there's different strains that do different things, you know, like, you know, sativa strains of cannabis, for example, are meant to give, like, energy and, like, motivation and stuff like that. And, I mean, I know that to be true within myself, you know, like, if I can get my hands on that kind of cannabis product where it's a sativa or similar, you know, I can do my day to day and be a lot more focused, a lot more creative, things like that. Where on the flip side, you've got like indica strains, which are more like relaxants, so which is more that like heavy stone feeling, like, you know, and because we have no regulation, man, it's really hard to find them particular products that could actually benefit your personality more and not leave you feeling like paranoid and things like that. There's just so many different products out there, but because they're not openly accessible to us. We're living in like dark times, man, you know, just like how we have 0% alcohol or lighter alcohol options, there are them options for cannabis as well, but it's untapped here and we just don't have the ability to get them products. You can go to overseas websites and look at them products and maybe there's a way to get them into the country and stuff like that, but it's all risk based, you know, like you could pay that money, that product never arrives. If you can't get your medicine that you've just paid for, you've been ripped off. Then I never even knew that people would even consider importing. marijuana. I'm talking about it like it's just nothing. But I mean, what other option do people have? You know, like unless unless you've got somebody that can help you out, people are actively out there trying to source it themselves. You know, but. Yeah, we just don't have that ability here. I mean, if you can find a doctor that is, willing to come on your medical journey with cannabis and support you along the way, then and that is becoming, more of a thing now. Like it's not as taboo to talk about it with your doctor and stuff. I mean, I don't know of many, but I know that there's a handful of definitely like local Christchurch physicians and stuff that most of the time they might not be willing to put their name to stuff, but they'll definitely support somebody in going, hey man, try this product, you know, like, so it's it'll be interesting to see like what that sort of, I mean, just for example, the other day I was driving down Morehouse Ave and there's a massive poster, a billboard for like Snoop Dogg's concert that is coming to New Zealand, right? And like in the States, Snoop Dogg has his own cannabis products, he has his own farms, like he's a massive advocate for cannabis, and they can happily put his poster up onto the streets of Christchurch, and everybody knows what he's about, you know, like, but I mean, we touched on this before with the whole 7 Sharp thing, like, as soon as they come into my shop and saw that I was, you know, in any way repping cannabis, I mean, I also sell, vases and stuff like that, you know, like, which, you know, pretty much just bongs, man, like, but, you know, we have to call them there. You know, like, I don't want to be too blatant about it, but as soon as they saw that stuff, that was it, man. They just like pulled the pin instantly. Like it was the whole snippet was about to be. It was about food, man. Like how to build the best burger and stuff like that.
And it wouldn't have bothered you one iota if they had just shot you in the kitchen without that type of thing being present.
I thought that's probably what would happen. You know, I thought obviously they've like looked us up on Facebook, and I mean they made contact with me, so you know. I was really surprised that it was even an issue, to be honest. Like, I mean, both of the venues that they ended up filming at both serve alcohol. Like, and they were sort of saying to me that they were worried about the demographic of people that view their show and stuff like that. So, I mean, but they're quite, you know, they're happy to film alcohol-related venues, but not a venue that...
we're talking for quite some time, but one last question, like that media thing, and especially at the moment with COVID, there's only sort of you really get to see, and you've got to see it through this cannabis thing, but that one narrative being pushed, and if you don't fit in that, what are you left with, kind of like who's talking about it, and well,
I guess you either follow that normal society buzz, like where, you know, you're just a sheep and you just do what everybody else is doing and you don't cause any waves, or you actually have a bit of personality and a bit of balls to like be your own person, you know. That's what I think. That's what I see in you as well. It's awesome. It's an awesome thing. I just think the more people that do that, the better, you know. Like, we all have our own personal opinions on things and our own way of doing things, and it's like, I've never tried to push my lifestyle onto other people, but if other people can relate to me and follow me in my journey, and I follow them and support each other, then you know that. What
a radical concept for humans to treat other humans like humans.
I mean, it seems so hard, but really, you know, like when you actually just step back or put yourself in someone else's shoes, it's pretty, you know, just like before when I was out here earlier, a guy approached me, you know, like 5:30 in the morning. I'm like, what are you up to, man? He's just like wandering the streets. Like, it's sad, man. Like, no one's going to take the time to make sure that dude's all right. But that was the first thing I asked him, man, are you all right? And he's like, nah, not really, man. I was like, I can't really help you out, like, you know.
But that honesty is that he will appreciate that, and I mean, I think that honesty is really important, and I'm sure he will appreciate that.
Man, just that connection with somebody who's not judging him.
It's more valuable than kind of getting $10 sometimes, I think.
100%.
I've been thinking about that dude this whole time, just wondering now, like, what is he up to? Like, where did he go?
Because he's got survival on a massive, like on a minute-to-minute, hour-to-hour sort of thing. Sorry, Milton.
No, it's fine. No, I was watching your interaction, and there's a beauty to it. I can see the softness. It's nice.
I just think, I mean, I just see a lot of people that are not... it's easy to not treat other people with respect, you know, because we don't... we can't put ourselves in each other's shoes or whatever. It's a hard one.
Yeah. Alrighty, we've got customers coming in the door,
man.
literally. So we better tie things up. Cheers, Ray.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, man. It's been a pleasure.
It's like fascinating conversation, even though I've never been a part of it. But it's we're awesome.
Yeah, we could go for hours, right?
Yeah, really, really cool.
Until we meet again.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Sweet.